Right, hey guys, it's Carter from Carl's Detailing. Now, it's been a while since I've done an interior detail, but luckily for this Jeep Renegade right here, it is in for the super interior detail package. Now, we are going to be deep cleaning the hard plastics and all the surfaces, as well as giving it a heavy-duty vacuum to address some sand issues that it's been having on the driver's side and on the trunk area. So, let's get started.
Have to wait. I can take the pain. I will surrender. Let me go on a new adventure.
For detailers, sand is probably one of the most frustrating things to encounter in an interior. There are vehicles where it is a simple once-over to clean. However, like this Renegade, several passes with a brush will be required to ensure a high percentage of sand removal. What will make this detail interesting is that the client is fully aware of the amount of sand and how deep it is in the fibers, but they did not want a carpet shampoo service. So, here I will showcase to you guys how I remove sand at a large quantity without having to bust out the extractor. So, a simple vacuum and brush technique will be used in this detail. Lots of information here, so grab a snack, kick back, and enjoy the video. For detailers, the quality of service is often reflected on the tools, products, and techniques that had been sharpened through time. If you can understand one product well and apply it to other services, then you can save yourself some money without having to buy products that only have one purpose, such as clay lube, leather cleaner, and sometimes fabric or upholstery cleaner. Here, I will showcase a few products, though it might seem little at first, is actually more than enough to get the job done. From using only one APC to clean the surface, a dressing to bring some shine to the plastics, a premium streak-free glass cleaner for clarity, and a gentle dust wipe-down product for the final touches at the end of the detail, as well as some tools for the sand and stubborn pet hair.
Now, before we begin this detail, I just want to give a really quick mention that videos like these take time to record, edit, and schedule accordingly, so please do me a huge favor and leave a like and subscribe down below in case you want to see more future content like this down the road and to grow this detailing community as a whole. So please do that. And also, if you're interested in any of the detailing products that will be showcased in this video, make sure to check out my Amazon affiliate links in the description below for you guys to check out in case you are interested, which would also support the channel. So with that said, let's get started.
Like with every other interior detail, I first start by removing personal belongings and floor mats. I will address the heavy-duty carpet cover separately because it also has its fair share of sand and process on how to bring that stealthy matte finish back. Powering the vacuum, I begin the area with the most sand, which is the trunk. I start with a simple vacuum to see if the particles could be safely removed without inducing any brushing. While it did seem that some of the surface dirt was being removed, unfortunately, the more embedded sand was stubbornly gripping onto the fibers, making a simple once-over non-ideal for this detail. From here, I will show you guys my method of sand removal, which is a combo of drill brushing action and a vacuum. I use the all-around brush attachment and set my drill to rotate the brushes in my direction. Main reason being that some particles will be flinged in the air, so it is better for it to fling out of the vehicle than inside. Here is a close-up of what I mean by that. By setting the brush rotation to push particles out of the interior, it can make for a cleaner detail when you get around the vehicle, especially in the seats. A brush alone can get a majority of the dirt removed, but it needs to be paired with a vacuum for a higher percentage of sand removal or other fine particles. While I am brushing, I keep the nozzle of the vacuum close to the brush so any dirt being uplifted can immediately be vacuumed out. With this technique, I slowly make my way across the whole area to ensure a high percentage of sand removal. I know there are other methods of removing sand, such as a brush attachment for the vacuum, extraction, or even compressed air. However, at the time, not only do I not own an air compressor, but the client did not want a shampoo of the fabrics either. So, a simple brush and a vacuum would easily do the trick in my opinion. You can use whatever method that floats your boat, because they will all get the job done. It is mostly personal preference. Now, sand is a controversial subject in the detailing world because there are claims that detailers should aim for 100% removal, or what I am doing here. For my detailers, let me explain to you as to why you should not aim for 100% removal.
Alrighty folks, so this is as much sand as I can get rid of. Unfortunately, there are a lot of pieces of sand embedded all the way into the fabrics. So at this point, you would have to communicate very well with the customer, telling them that you can't get rid of certain areas because they just won't come out. Now, overall, this looks so much better now compared to what it was before. I just want to tell you guys, I know there's detailers out there that say, oh no, you can remove that, just use this, just use that. I understand your method. However, this is my method of doing sand removal. Because sand, by its very nature, you cannot remove 100% of it. If you are charging for a service like this where you can get a certain amount of sand or debris out with a vacuum and a drill brush, if you charged this, do not aim for 100%. Stuff like that to remove 100% is restoration or show car results. If the client did not pay for that, do not try aiming for those results, because realistically speaking, you're just going to be wasting a lot of time trying to get stuff out that you were not paid for to do. Charge accordingly, schedule your time, and yeah, keep an eye out for that type of stuff for my detailers out there.
After a bit of advice, now is the detail brush vac duo combo on the hard surfaces and seats. I didn't want to vacuum the rest of the carpets just yet because I will be entering and exiting the vehicle a lot for when I start the deep clean process. This will help minimize the amount of dirt getting stuck on my shoes and making its way into the fabrics. While I could have just placed a towel or paper carpet cover, I'd rather just address it after the surface cleaning, and honestly it's not that big of a deal. Now, the seats did not have that much sand within the crevices, but some crumbs had definitely made its way between the gaps and stitching. So, with a boar's hair detail brush and a vacuum combo, I brush out the intricate areas with the nozzle close by. This brush and vacuum method will suck up anything that the brush manages to dig out, and while you can get away with just a vacuum, it is better to play it safe with this technique, especially in this detail, because I will be treating the seats with a dressing. So, by ensuring a thoroughly brushed surface, you can rid of any surface dirt or grime from smearing onto the surface when applying the dressing. It is better to play it safe than sorry, like I always say. With sun shining its rays onto me, I pick up the pace with the deep clean process by starting on the doors. I spray some cleaner onto the surface and follow up with some agitation. As you can clearly see, I am only working in small areas because I am in direct sunlight, and yes, while I could have just taken out the canopy, I don't think it would have been ideal here because the majority of the interior is a darker color and I would need enough light to see what I am cleaning. This might not have a lot logic for a lot of people, but honestly, living in a desert-like climate of California, it didn't really bother me that much. So, in this circumstance, a healthy layer of sunscreen was called to order before initiating in the detail, so if you are working outside often, get yourself a quality lotion to protect yourself from the sun. Working my way around, I also utilized the steamer in tight spots such as the door handles, speaker grills, and gauges, to which is then mopped up with a towel. If you're cleaning an interior that won't be followed up with a dressing, you can get away with the steamer alone, since it has enough pressure and heat to clean all of the surfaces of any debris. However, since I am prepping the plastics for a trim dressing, I want to be certain that the surface is fully prepped and squeaky clean by using the steamer and an APC. As I work my way around the vehicle, cleaning the door trims, handles, and gauges, I then move on to the interior seats. Now, I was informed by the client that this vehicle is only operated by one person and almost never takes passengers. I inspect the seats, and surprisingly, the owner was right. The vinyl seats in the back were pretty clean. However, since a dressing is going to be applied, I gave it an APC wipe down at the same dilution. To my eyes, the seats were in perfect condition, but I just wanted to play it safe by prepping the interior for the protection phase. Alright, now, the driver's seat will always be the one with the most contamination. From skin oils, grime, crumbs, lotion, and dye transfer from clothing, here I will show you guys a 50-50 clean line on how dirty this seat was. Instead of an APC wipe down, I step it up to an APC brush technique by massaging the cleaner onto the surface to give it extra bite on the grime. I kept the same dilution of Super Clean at 10:1, which has more than enough cleaning capability. That, paired with distilled water, can already give your foamy cleaner extra lather to massage the product for a lot longer. If you're wondering how you could tell if a vinyl or leather seat is clean, well, simple. It should have a matte appearance that is smooth to the touch. Unless the seats have a glossy clear coat or the owner decided to put a high gloss dressing, the seats should not have any high reflective smears on the surface, which gives your luxurious seats a dull or cheap look. After a brush and wipe, check out these 50-50 results.
Alrighty, now after a quick agitation with the cleaner and the brush, now I'm going to show you guys the 50-50 as to what I am talking about. So here it goes. And there you guys go, a 50-50 of the seat. Look how clean this looks now. As you can see on this side, the reason why it gives off this shiny look, it could be several reasons. It could be general debris, skin oil, or the lotion that's on the skin. It could be rubbed up all against the seat, giving it a very, I would say, greasy look to it. If you have vinyl or leather, your seats are supposed to look like this, matte, clean, no gloss, no nothing, just a really clean appearance, and it's soft. When your seat is dirty, it would look shiny, oily, and sometimes you can even feel it. It gets grippy. So that's the 50-50 for you guys, and I'm just going to continue with the rest of the seat.
With the lower half done, I proceed on to the rest of the seat. Because this is the driver's side, further agitation is required to ensure a clean surface free of any skin grease, sweat residue, lotion oils, and other grime that could be embedded. Unless you ask the client what exactly do they do in life to know the history of the seat, no detailer is certain what could be on the surface, so it is good practice to give it a good scrub and wipe to prep the conditioning phase. This is pretty much required for any high-end interior details there is, because cooking yourself in the sun with the laborsome work will all go to waste if the client is not satisfied with the results. So, if you are doing high-end detailing like myself, don't cut corners and deliver the job as agreed to with the owner. Personally, I like working on the dash. Not only do I get some shade after being extra cooked out in the sun, but this area is where the owner will mostly pay close attention to. Cleaning every nook and cranny thoroughly on the dash is crucial to satisfy the client's expectations of a high-end detail. Missing a spot here, whether it is grime, water, or some cleaner residue, can give you a bad rep, so if you are detailing someone else's possessions, get in the habit of taking necessary steps to secure a clean result. Now, because this is a dark colored interior, streaks and missed spots will stick out like an eyesore, making the surrounding cleaner areas appear dull or out of place. In my case, the highest risk would be the doors, since they are dark colored in the sun and can streak my cleaner a lot harshly. However, since I am certain that I had thoroughly cleaned the area, and all that could potentially be left there are streaks or unbuffed residue, that would be easily mopped up, since just a light spritz of water can reactivate the solution for an easy wipe off. I usually like to do this step once I am done with the cleaning phase and prep for the protection phase. This will help even if I did miss a spot. I can just attend to it without having to worry about cleaning an area that had some freshly applied dressing, which, without a doubt, would smear the surface horribly. For air vents or complicated areas where a towel would have trouble mopping up liquid, I address those sections with my handy steamer to melt away grime and to some extent sanitize the surface. Because I am using distilled water in the steamer, there is no need to worry about mopping up all the liquid, since there are no minerals to create spots. So, letting the surface air dry would be more ideal, since I could just continue the detail and address other matters. Steaming is very helpful for interior deep cleans, especially in heavily contaminated areas like the seats and steering wheel, which contain the most amount of skin oils and other grime. If it is lightly dirty or recently detailed, the steamer will be your best friend, melting away any impurities and to follow up with a light wipe down. This is also helpful on the center console with a lot of buttons and gauges without having to overwork the solution with a detail brush. This makes life so much easier, especially if you have a lot of maintenance vehicles. Now, on an area like the cup holders, I noticed there was some sticky like goop, and I apologize for not getting the camera to show you guys. So what I did to clean the mess is I spray some all-purpose cleaner, agitate it with a brush, and steam it to raise the temperature and spike the cleaner even more. This will give a much deeper clean by melting the goop and cleaning it with an APC. Now, since these are cup holders, I can easily mop it up with a towel, but in a hard to reach area, I will be more careful because APC in an event where I can't mop it up can streak and potentially bleed out if unattended. So if you're new to steam cleaning an interior, just be mindful of what liquid you're using and the air pressure that the gun is shooting at, so that you don't accidentally blast heated APC down a vent or in an area where your towel can't reach. Alright, now, here is a reason why the steamer is a detailer's secret weapon. Pedals are probably one of the most dirtiest areas of the vehicle. Everything your shoe picks up, such as dirt, plants, mud, animal feces, and sometimes traffic film on rainy days, is rubbed up against the pedals, embedding it with all the sins your sneakers have bestowed upon it. Luckily, because the steamer can melt away the grime on the surface, you don't really need to agitate with an APC and just let the power of heat and water do all the work for you. Here, I place a towel beneath to prevent the dirty water from touching the carpets. Then I steam the pedals to loosen up any surface dirt and then wipe away with a towel, specifically a throwaway towel. I also sprayed some APC just to be sure that it's clean to fully prep it for the protection phase. Now, for my detailers, don't go putting really oily or slippery dressings on the pedals here because that would be a safety hazard. I would suggest something with a matte finish and soft to the touch to give it depth when the carpet covers are placed back. Usually people don't look down here on everyday life, but don't let that be an excuse to skip the cleaning and dressing for these areas, since they are just as important as every other section of the interior. Here, I would use a dressing with a matte finish and soft touch to add it as a cherry on top for the almost forgetful pedals below. Just a few more areas to address before the protection phase, and that is to brush and vacuum the remaining fabrics, which is the floor. I kept this for last because it is a lot easier for me to work since I can clean the other surfaces without having to be overly cautious on where I am stepping on if it was clean. So same method of sand removal, vacuum the larger bits, and brush with the drill, then vacuum the fine particles. Removing the floor mats is a must for interior surfaces because you don't want the contaminants that you are working on the mats to fall under, making you work double. There are times where it is just so much pet hair, dirt, and sand that removing the mats actually reveals even more contaminants sitting underneath, so addressing both surfaces separately helps for a thorough clean. Now, as I am working, some may notice that why I don't remove the seats considering I have an interior with sand in it. Well, to be honest with you, I just don't have that reliability yet to take on such odds for the safety of the owner. Removing the seats means disconnecting the battery, unplugging the airbag safety cable, and unscrewing the bolts that are holding the seat down. Not only is it more time consuming, but because I don't own a shop yet where I can have a reliable spot to put the seats in for a safe area and the tools to do the job right, I don't want to be messing with reliabilities with the owner, so for now I do not remove the seats. I am sure some will tell me to do this and that it is easier with their 30 years of experience and other bragging rights, but honestly it is just the way I roll, and some clients are actually quite satisfied with the results I offer. Maybe down the line when I finally own a shop and have an employee or two to help out, but for now, the seats remain bolted and my peace of mind remains secured. With most of the surfaces fully prepped for the protection phase, I now address the final areas. The lower plastic trim pieces, which I'll assume are stepping areas, were cleaned and worked in with the same method. Nothing special here, but will stand out if left unattended since it is front and center when you open the door. For the trunk, it was not that dirty, but rather dusty. So instead of busting out a heavy cleaner or a trim prep, I just use O&R with a 256:1 dilution as a light wipe down cleaner. It's great at neutralizing the static buildup, which attracts more dust, and its streakless chemistry makes wipe and buff methods a whole lot easier, especially in direct sunlight. O&R is a polymer cleaner, so even if it did dry up on the surface, you can confidently wipe it down dry or brush vacuum it out. For light grime, you could step it up to the dilution at 128:1 or 64:1, but at that point you should probably just play it safe with a dedicated cleaner or steamer. Many options to choose from, so do a test spot and use your best judgment from there. After a long day of filming and working on the interior, the protection phase was next on the list. Here I will use Detail Garage's Hypercoat dressing for the hard plastics using a microfiber applicator mitt to spread the product over. I like this dressing because it gives a satin-like finish, which is perfect for this stealthy looking Renegade. Dressings typically shouldn't be used in direct sunlight, however with the right amount of product and using a buffing towel, you can actually level out the coating without leaving nasty streaks. There are a wide variety of options on what dressing to use on different shine levels. However, for dark colored interiors, specifically black, it is better to choose either a satin or a OEM matte finish. Anything glossier than those two can make the interior look cheap or look like a toy. So if you're not sure which dressing would be ideal, try in a discreet area and see for yourself. On the dash, using Hypercoat will really bring out that satisfying OEM clean finish. I like this product because of its shine potential, smells pleasant, and has an easy wipe on and wipe off experience. I even have accidentally wiped a little bit on the glass once, but it was easily cleaned up with no oily residues. There are a wide variety of products to choose from in the detailing industry, so pick a few and let the client decide what kind of finish they should get. However, when choosing a dressing on the dash, a high gloss finish can actually be really distracting because the sun will shine too much on the dash, making a blinding experience for the driver. So using a matte or satin dressings would be more ideal here, just something to be aware of. It is important to know that the dressing will only work as intended if the surface was cleaned properly. I know this is common sense, but if you apply a dressing on an unprepped surface, you will be smearing grime and other contamination all over the area, which in return will make you wonder why the applicator pad got dirty or why is there a lot of streaks on the surface. So take the necessary steps to prep the area to avoid wasting time, product, and your sanity fixing something that could have been avoided. Now, I did not mention this product in the beginning of the video, and I apologize for that, but I will be using Detail Garage's Natural Shine on the seats. Off camera, I did not like the results of Hypercoat on the seats, so I dropped the gloss level by switching to Natural Shine for a more matte, almost satin finish. This creamy, pleasant smelling dressing may look oily at first, but with a simple dry buff, it actually makes the seat appear a whole lot more OEM factory new. This will help protect the surface from the UV rays, an easier clean for the next detail, and gives a soft touch, making getting in and out of the vehicle a whole lot safer to prevent dye transfer. With the sun on the other side, I didn't really have to worry about residues or streaking on the seats, so it was a simple wipe on and wipe off experience. Now, it is important that if you are going to be using more than one dressing on a vehicle, just make sure to swap your applicator to avoid cross-contamination. For example, if I had used the same pad for Hypercoat to apply Natural Shine, what will happen is that it will appear as a streaky surface, but it is actually the dressings fighting for shine on the seat. So if you have a different coating with more gloss, it will leave a shiny residue that is very hard to remove, or you will need to prep the whole surface once more. It is a stressful and time-consuming process when you don't properly swap your applicators, towels, or other tools needed to do the job right. So for my detailers, always make sure that you have enough equipment and tools needed to secure a clean and efficient detail. Now, in case you haven't forgotten, the rubber floor mats are still vibing outside waiting for the deep clean of the Sentry, so I get to work on them by pressure washing them to remove as much dirt, grime, and sand as possible. Now, you can do this method with carpet mats, just be mindful that you're going to have to extract all the liquid before placing them back in the interior, so just keep that in mind. I follow up by spraying Super Clean at 4:1 for extra cleaning power and brush it in with a drill attachment. This helps speed up my cleaning process and make for a more effective clean to prep for the protection that will be applied. There are a variety of methods to choose from when it comes to rubber mats, such as brush and wipe technique, all-in-one products, and how I'm doing it with a pressure washer. Whichever is fine. But because I want the best results possible, I prefer to pressure wash and drill brush to guarantee a deep clean. Next up, on a wet surface, I apply some diluted VRP at 5:1, so that way it mixes with the water on the mats so it can spread evenly. As for why I diluted it, I actually explained that on my engine detail video, so make sure to check that out for more information. In short, it makes for an even coverage and makes the drying process a whole lot faster, which is why I'm blow drying the mats to get as much liquid off so I can buff off the rest with a dry microfiber towel. After a quick inspection to make sure the mats are ready for deployment, I place them back carefully, not trying to bend them, which would cause very hard creases. With the mats dressed, it makes them look OEM new and make them for an easier clean next time since the grime won't stick on that easily. Before delivering the car back to the client, a quick once-over with O&R at 256:1 was called to order to remove any remaining streaks and to neutralize the static buildup attracting the dust. Not a crazy cleaner, but definitely will get the job done as a gentle wipe down. The glass was tackled with my new favorite glass cleaner prescribed to me by the doctors in Germany. This colorless cleaner will get the glass in crystal clear condition and has an easy wipe on and wipe off experience. Even if I left it to dry on the plastics, it does a good job at wiping off without pulling out aggressive cleaners. Finally, after hours of filming, detailing, and my skin overcooked from the California sun, this detail is finally complete. So much work was done here, not because this was a filthy vehicle, but rather trying to nail a good clean and a dressing that would fit perfectly for this stealthy looking Renegade. I hope you guys enjoyed this detail and my advice that I give out for my weekend warriors or professionals. I've encountered worse vehicles in the past, but what makes this vehicle special is not just the sand, but how do you make a relatively clean car look cleaner? Well, obviously once you get to scrubbing you will see the dirt, but choosing the right protection can decide the final results heavily, so I hope you guys have a better understanding when it comes to giving the final touches for the interior. Now, just so I can elaborate on that, here is a hard 50-50 line with the left side being untreated and the right protected. The left looks pretty dull, lifeless, and doesn't stand out that much. The right side has that fresh new car look, bringing that jazz back to the seats. Like I always say, the cherry on top is not how much you have cleaned the surface, but how well you have conditioned it to preserve it for the time to come.
And that's it gonna be for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please leave a thumbs up. Subscribe down below in case you want to see more future content like this down the road. I had a blast detailing this vehicle, the befores and afters, dealing with that sand in the front, but everything turned out well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and found this video informative. So if you want to see more content, you know what to do. Other than that, stay safe. Have a good time.